Hey, good morning. Welcome to the JeepSolid garage. So today we're going to make some more progress on this engine rebuild on this Project 92 YJ. We've got the grill we're going to install. We're going to put the radiator in, accessory belt. We've got a few things to do. We're getting so close. Thank you guys for following along on this, and let's make some more progress. All right, it's starting to look like a real Jeep again, huh? And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. I'm all about helping with Jeep repairs, doing your own maintenance. You can actually save thousands of dollars. Literally, I've saved thousands of dollars in my life doing my own repairs. So if you'd like to follow along, be sure to subscribe. And after I get this grill installed, I think we'll do the accessory belt next. That'll be the next simplest thing to do before I get the radiator in the way, because that's going to be exactly it. Well, you got to put the fan shroud in first. Don't forget the fan shroud. Because if you do, and you put the radiator in first, you have to take it back out to get your fan shroud in there. And we're going to get all the bolts in on the grill here before we start tightening anything down, because when you're doing something like this, you want to make sure that you get all the bolts in, because you need to be able to kind of move things a little bit. So you don't want to tighten down the other side until you get both sides started. These bolts are a little rusty, so I've got some anti-seize on them. So in the future, if I'm ever taking this grill off again, which honestly, I don't plan on it, but you never know. So I got a little anti-seize on them. A little anti-seize never hurt, right? All right, so let's move on to the accessory belt. Here is my accessory belt, drive belt, serpentine belt. What do you guys call it? It goes by a lot of different names. So if you're doing a project like this, obviously this is a very good time to replace your belt with a brand new one. If it's cracked or showing signs of excessive wear for any reason. And we're just gonna lay that over the top here, around the power steering pump, under this pulley, over the top of the clutch on the fan there, and then down there on the vibration damper to the alternator here. And on the power steering pump here, there's a few bolts we got to loosen up so that you have a little play here, like that, so that you can get the tension off the belt, so you can get it on there. So there's two bolts right back down in there on the back side. There's this guy down here, which is the tensioner bolt, and it also has a little locking bolt. See if I can find it for you. There it is. That bolt, once you get the tension adjusted, that locks it in place. And I also loosen this bolt on the top here that it pivots on. You don't have to take it out. You don't have to take any of these all the way out. You just got to loosen them all up. Okay, so now we have all this play in between these two pulleys, between this guy and this guy. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a straight edge on here, and we're looking for, because this is over 12 inches, we're looking for about a ½ inch of displacement when you push on it fairly firmly there. The only way to truly tension your belt is with a belt tensioner. This is just kind of a backyard way of doing it, so let's do that real quick. We'll tighten some of these guys up and get to it. Okay, so that looks about tight enough, so let's put our straight edge on this part of the belt. We've got a mark on here that's a ½ inch. So we should be able to get, no, maybe it's a little too tight. My mark there is a ½ inch, and yeah, I gotta push pretty hard to get it down to it, so I'm gonna back it off just a little bit. So let's try that now. And the risk, if your belt is too tight, you can actually like damage the bearings on some of your pulleys here. So you don't want it too tight. And if it's too loose, your belt can slip. You can have other problems like that. So you gotta find that sweet spot. Yeah, that's better. About a ½ inch of displacement, so that should do. So let's tighten all these guys up. All right, cool. So before I drop the radiator into place here, which would be the next natural step, but I've got to get all the wiring into the headlights, the turn signals, all that. So I'm glad I remembered that. Let me show you where the wiring is tucked here. See all the wiring to the marker lights and everything. So let's see, we've got this wire loom right here. So it goes to the headlights, turn signals. It's all draped nicely over the steering wheel here. It's been sitting there for a while, tucked out of the way. So let's put this guy where it goes. Alrighty, let's drop the fan shroud over the fan there, just kind of set it on place there. We can drop the radiator in. And there's just 6 little bolts on this guy. The bottom 2 leave in place because it just slips over the top of those. And this is a good time to obviously replace your radiator if needed. I'm using my old one here. It's okay. It doesn't leak or anything. I'll probably be replacing it in the near future though. But for right now, I just want to get this thing up and running. So putting this guy back in for now, and I'll probably end up replacing it later and make a video about it. And this is why you have to get your fan shroud. Oh, come on. Where's the top? This is why you have to get your fan shroud on here before you put your radiator in, because there's just no room for it. Just gets hung up under the radiator there. I've actually seen people cut the bottom of them to get them out before, but that's how you're supposed to do it. Let's bolt this guy in place and we should be good to go. Let's put on our little power steering reservoir here. This guy bolts on with the radiator, with the fan shroud, yeah, with this thing. And a real quick tool plug, and no, this is not a paid advertisement. This thing is super handy. I'll be sure to link it in the description below. Just makes the job go so much quicker. Instead of ratcheting on something for 2 minutes, you just done. So handy little tool, not that expensive. I think it was like $100. All right, now we can throw a couple hoses back on this guy. All right, we got the upper and lower radiator hoses on. See if I can get a shot of that lower hose. There it is right down there. Let's double check some things here. Fuel lines are good. We've got a few vacuum hoses here to hook up still to the air box. Power steering pump, that's good. Radiator's good. Fan shroud, double check the fuel rail. Just a lot of stuff to double check, but let's throw that air box in real quick. Well, dang it, I just noticed a problem. This little air intake right here hooks onto the box there. Well, this goes in this little hole, this opening right here, where I put my wiring. This wiring is supposed to be through that hole there, not that one there. So I have to undo my wiring clear over on the passenger side, feed it all back through, just simply to run that through the correct hole. So that's gonna set me back a little bit. I don't know, take a half hour here. Let me bust that out real quick. Okay, there, now that we got that taken care of, now we can put in the air intake. So yeah, I had to just switch those guys around, make sure I got the wires in the correct opening. Now we're good to go. There we go, it's starting to look really good, like a real Jeep again. That's awesome. And when I was doing this last little bit here, there was one thing I left out. You guys know what that is? One real simple little thing. Leave a comment down below. Let me know if you picked up on that. Something I left out. I'm gonna call it a day for right now. In the meantime, check out my next video right up here. Hopefully the next time you guys see this, we're putting fluid in it and starting it up. So super excited for that. Thanks for watching, you guys. Have a good day.